Today's little drama. Spent yesterday unbolting the radiator. Air and forward was off. Radiator has caught me all the way. Bolts on the mounting bolts extremely tight. Had to cut one off so I can hopefully get it up high enough and get it forward. As you can see, I've rigged it up. Got Mr. Forky on it. Do a lift and see if we can get this off. I want to get it out so I can pull it to pieces and check it and clean it and work on the front of the engine. So a bit of time now to do it and then curb in the truck. Do a lift and see how we go. Next little snippet. Did the lift. Yeah, I couldn't get the radiator to go forward because I got a bolt still sticking through down on that side. I did cut it off, but you know, I couldn't get it up high enough. It's hitting on the fan shroud here. So because it was leaning forward a bit, I unbolted the fan and they just let it all go. So it's just all sitting there now. I think I'm not sure what I'll do. Might take this shroud off to lay it down on a pallet. Figure out what I'm going to do there. But yeah, it's going to make it a lot easier to work on the front of the truck with no radiator. Do all the belts and plumbing I want to do, heater hoses. And try and sort some of the wiring out up on the top there. Bit of a mess. Do all the belt adjusters, take all those out, free them all up, get all that good. Check the bearings. Might do the bearing and the idler pulley here. Movement. So yeah, we're slowly progressing. Let's see the fan, still got the label on it. So American Cooling Systems. Just never had another fan put on it. Well, not here. I did think about it because I was involved with crushers, mobile crushing for a while. In one of our machines, the vibration, you can guarantee you could set your hour meter by it, the fan would fly to pieces. Go through the radiator, just fatigue. I know they get brittle. Overthink about that one. Right, try and figure out what I'm going to do with this. Lay it on the ground somewhere. Got brackets on the front. Should actually try and get those off, and then that'll fix that problem. So that's what I'll do while it's hanging here. Right, another follow up on what's been happening. Radiator's out, it's been outside, it's had a clean. I'm just going to show you the bolt. I had to sit down, I had to cut off this bolt here. If I didn't cut it off, I couldn't slide the radiator forward to get it away from the hose and all that. That was my biggest problem, so I've just recut it. It's frozen onto the bush, which is inside this rubber mount. I can turn the rubber, well I could before I just cut it a bit shorter. A pair of Stilsons on there, but there's no way I can break that and that free. I can hit it and all that and it just won't go anywhere. So my only option is now I'm going to center punch it and just start drilling it out. Be a slow process, but not much else to do at the moment. We'll have a go at that and see if we can get it. I suppose something I never thought of is, it's a bit tight, I could possibly cut down the back there, cut the bolt off, which would get that off for me, and then just put that in the press. That's another option. I think it's too tight, the rubber, to get the hacksaw down in there. End up breaking the blade. Anyway, we'll have a go and see what we can do. Just show you what I've done here. Drilled it. I'm slightly off center, but yeah, right through to the bush. So I'm just going to collapse it and see if I can get it off. Right, we can hail success. We got it off. It worked. Draw the bolt out and collapse it in, and it was never going to come out while it was on the truck, that was for sure. Would have busted something in the bottom of the radiator if I kept going. Oh well, that's a good achievement. save the rubber. They're in good order, those. I think that'll do for today. Wind it up at that. Right, on to the next thing. When we pulled the cab off, we noticed, let's put the bushes. We noticed that there was some real odd stuff going on the side of the truck. Different size bolts, and they had made some adapter bushes to go in there. But yeah, I just thought I'd come over here and have a close look. I don't know if I can get it on the camera. The bush is all broken inside there. So I've been beating it with a hammer. I was going to try and get it out of the frame here, but yeah, this is all aluminium, I suppose, aluminium cast. So I don't want to hit it in case I break it. So I'm going to take that off the truck. I'll take it over to the press, because that'll be there'll be a recess inside that to stop the bush coming in and out, or the rubber. If I can save the rubber, it'll be alright, because I don't know where I'll get another one of those. So get this frame off, and then we'll work away at it. Show you something else I'm up to. Like, we're obviously just assembling the truck more and more now, and radiator stays. Well, the turnbuckles, real neat idea, but yeah, they all need freeing up, just time. So put it back on, we can get everything sitting correct. And jobs like that, I don't video too much of it. Went to our local mount shop in town, and yeah, they I'll show you what they had. The shock absorber bushes, but yeah, they're all the right to go in here. It's all new rubbers then, and stuff like that to start buying and replacing things. Went through our collection the other day. Bottom radiator hose, took that off. It's all starting to delaminate inside, like in there. So replace all the hoses. Went through our collection, and yep, had a piece of brand new hose, right diameter, but the rest of it's 2.5 inch inside, ID size. So had to bite the bullet and go and buy a length of hose. I'm going to use about half of that for the rest of the truck. But now's the time to replace all those things. Once I get it running, and if I'm going to use it, I certainly don't want to be fixing that stuff on the side of the road. Don't need it to cost you an engine. Just get it right before you go. So yeah, I've got all the steel lines off. I'll buff all those and prime, and going to go and get some paint the next couple of days. I'll clean this radiator a bit more if I have to, and start painting all that stuff. Be titanium black, I think, if I'm correct. So that's what the engine's going to be, and I'll do all the radiator the same. Little update on what's been happening. Getting closer to painting the engine on the truck, and one of the things I want to do is take the alternator off, and obviously replace all the belts and that. But to get that off, you got to take your feed wire off. And yeah, what did I do? It was frozen on there, rusted up. So yeah, I broke the terminal off on there. Plus, when I was trying to undo it all, I kept turning, and yeah, it come off inside here, down in where your power outlet is down in there. Screwed the nut off, so it all fell to bits inside. So I pulled the alternator apart, and in the process of doing that, I managed to break the brush holder here. I was going to put new brushes in anyway, because these are back to the pinhole, so they're worn out and the springs were pretty rotten in there. I intended to do that, but yeah, just only brushes only, not the holder. So I went to our local auto electrical shop in town here. They were really good. They actually had another alternator there, but it's 24 volt, only wanted 12. But yeah, I had this with me, so they spent some time and managed to find another one in their system. There it is there. So there's actually, yeah, there's actually 2 come in the box. A spare one if I ever need it. Worked out really good as well. So you know, they're really awesome to me in there. In the same time, I managed to damage the insulator where your power feed comes out through there. So it allowed me to go through the box of parts in there, and ended up with a whole container full of bits and pieces of insulators. I managed to make one to go in there. And to fix the terminal, they didn't have another one of those. Got a square on the inside to stop them turning. So I thought about it for a while, so I put it in the lathe and I drilled it out, and I drilled and tapped it and made virtually a stud to put in the terminal, and Loctited that in. So yeah, I just remanufactured the end on it. So hopefully that works okay. The bearings look okay. Well, it all worked when the truck was running, so with new brushes in there, hopefully it's going to work all right. I've got the other end up here on the vise. I've just pressed that back together, but I need to put the pulley back on before I put that back in the alternator, otherwise I'll press on it and it'll do damage. I'll do all that. I used a puller obviously to pull it. It shows that I don't know a lot about what I'm doing. I should have just pulled this half of the alternator off. I couldn't actually get this out of the housing on the front half. It was really stuck in there. So yeah, I just pulled the pulley and yeah, the front come off. But yeah, understanding it, I didn't actually need to do that. That's all good. We'll put it back together. I've painted cleaned it all up, primed it. I'll just give the pulley a quick squirt, and the cooling disc as well. Just got it hanging there drying. So when all that's dry, I'll reassemble. But I just thought you might like to see what I've done, what I shouldn't have done. We'll soon know if it's going to work though. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Right, another little update. Got to remember to keep turning the camera on, keep showing you what I'm doing. Just remove the fuel tank. It's got that sitting on the pallet lifter here. Going to do a bit of research on how to remove dents in tanks. I think, yeah, pressurise them fill them with water and pressurise them for 30 pounds or so. But I'll read up about all that before I even go down that road. They're pretty thin, wouldn't take much to split them. As I say, I'll do my research and yeah, see what I can do with it. I'll be able to straighten them out a little bit. So my next thing is we've got these fuel lines on here, all gone hard. I've got a lot of spare hoses out the back, come off machines, nowhere as bad as these. I'll go out and see what I can do. Might be able to have reusable fittings, make some lines up. If not, I'll be off to the hose doctor again. So that's what I'm going to do now, is take a couple of lines off and then go around and take the other tank off, I suppose, on the other side. Slowly getting the frame stripped down. Then I'll bring my sandblaster up to the shop here and do a bit of work on it. Get it ready to spot blast the engine and get that painted. And then I can wrap it all and work on the frame then. Got a long way to go, but we'll get there. Right, both tanks are removed. I'm standing over here. Something I didn't notice it on the truck. Yeah, they're different lengths. Whether they've been swapped in the earlier days, who would know? Something I did learn when I retrieved this truck, there was pallets laying there with other parts and bits and pieces laying around. So I grabbed a couple of steps. I've got another one up here on the shelf to go on the fuel tanks. And yeah, when you sat them against the tank on the truck, it was all over width. So I did a bit of research, and yeah, these tanks are a bigger diameter than what was on the rest of the trucks sitting in the lineup up there because of the length. The other tanks are longer, so they reduce the diameter and allowed them to put steps on. So I couldn't go swapping tanks off trucks or anything up there because yeah, these have got dents in them. As I say, I'm going to learn how to try and get that out. Have got the option of possibly cutting into the tank. Have somebody who can weld them in that. We'll look into that. So as I was talking about the diameter and the length, I couldn't swap any tanks because of the length of this truck. Time the tank fits in here and up to our wheelbase, yeah, what we've got's the limit. So that's not an option for me. So I've taken the fuel lines off. Still got the main feed line, return line from the engine here at the moment. I'll work on those, figure out what I'm going to do. Don't know how good a condition they are. It's the sort of thing that needs replacing. Yeah, yesterday I went to town and I've got all new belts for the drive unit here at the front. Water pump, fan, alternator. Yeah, alternator laying down there on the bench. New brushes fitted in that. Bearings, fixed all that. So currently what I'm doing at the moment is removing this exhaust. Got the bracket off there. It's all a bit of a mess, that. It's not going to stay on there. I'll come right up and I'll get it right off up to the turbo. I am going to put an upright exhaust on it. So my thoughts are bring it out and turn and then out under the cab here and up. Something that I can't obtain is the genuine Peterbilt casting that bolts to the frame here with the square box section. Don't know what size it is, could be 4x4, don't know, I'm only guessing that. It comes out of the casting and then comes up for your muffler to mount to. Yeah, I thought about going on the 362 Facebook page and chucking it out there if somebody got one, but as you're all aware, anyone who's following me, and the title of this YouTube channel's Pete NZ. Yeah, NZ stands for New Zealand. I live on the bottom end of the world, so shipment is a bit of a problem for us. There has been a Peterbilt, well, there is one at the Wreckers currently in the North Island here where I live, but it hasn't got that bracket on it. I did ask. Obviously it's got a bottom exhaust on it like this. I haven't seen the truck, but yeah, I'll make a decision what I'm going to do there. Somebody might watch this and say, yeah, geez, I've got one of those, but yeah, shipping's going to be a big issue. Just got to figure out how to do that. I only want the casting that goes on here. I would cut the box section off it, and then yeah, I'll deal with that out here. I just want that casting piece. The other option is just to find another exhaust bracket off another truck. Obviously, yeah, bad words, but Freightliner, they got a pretty good one. There's plenty of them wrecked here. I'll figure that out. I'll see where we go. The other thing I'm currently sorting is the front bush. I've taken the bracket off the frame here. It's laying over on the bench, and I took the rubber pivot bush out of it because it was broken internally. Thinking I'll be clever, I'll remove it out of here and I'll manufacture another bush just to go in the rubber, but the rubber's vulcanized to the bush, so I can't do much about that. So I've been sitting on the internet. Yeah, as I say, the Facebook page, it's awesome. People put lots of information there. Change the numbers over. I think it's a K100 Kenworth cab pivot mount. They're the same. I've got all the numbers. They're a polyurethane bush. But I've got the same problem. You can go to the Kenworth dealers. We've got one in the town here where I live. but it's the price of a new truck. So I'll probably just sit on the internet and I'll source something and just bring it in. I'll buy two, might as well do it properly and pay for shipping. It's no different for one or 10 of them probably. So I'm getting close. Gonna, as I say, work on my sandblaster and get that checked over, and then get a nice day and take this outside. I'll strip the engine a bit more and just very lightly just rough it up where I need to, clean it up before I chuck the primer on it. But we'll work on this exhaust and we'll get all that off, get these ugly brackets out of it. They don't belong in there. It's just, yeah, all untidy stuff. And yeah, they put brackets onto the suspension mounts here, so I don't want any of that type of thing. I want all that nice and tidy. Don't want stuff bolted to the chassis that doesn't really belong to it. Keep it pretty clean. Right, I'll keep doing a bit more and give you another update soon. Another catch up. Dory come to visit me. I'm like, man, I'm doing all these things and I haven't even turned the camera on. Exhaust is off, got rid of all that junk. One bracket left on the frame there. Might use that yet for the upright bracket to come up and support the pipe under the cab before I turn it and bring it out. So I'll just leave that on the frame for now. I've removed all the other brackets that were holding the muffler in place. You can see I've cleaned up where I've replaced bolts they had through it, through the cross bender and that. Just put hardened bolts and washers back in there. And then the next thing I noticed was the, well, it's not a gearbox supporter really, I suppose, but yeah, the spring across the top of the box here. The spring itself is okay, sort of a bit worn on the leaf, but I realise you can't weld spring steel, so I'm not going to touch that. But yeah, the angle brackets that go in the frame, they were just about worn through. Wow, this doesn't sit level in there, it's sitting with the angle of the box. So when you put your angle brackets in the frame, it's tending to sit up and it's wearing just the back corner. I suppose I could compensate for that, put the brackets on an angle. They don't look original to me. I'll show you out here. So here's one here. As I say, I forget to turn the camera on, but yeah, it was worn quite bad in here, so I'm just in the process of building this up slowly. I'm no welder, but yeah, I can make the seagull shit look pretty good. So I'll build that up carefully, don't want too much heat into it. I'll grind it all up and get it into shape and just put it back on. I thought about building it up and then putting a wear strip on here, but getting a bit carried away. Never use a truck enough to wear that out. So yeah, I just got to remember to turn the camera on. I'm bad for that. It likes twin stick and that. I mean, he time lapses and fast forwards his videos and all that, and he shows you everything he does during the day, but I think you'd be totally bored if you sat and watched me do that all day. I enjoy reading the comments on the videos I put up. Feel free to, you know, ask questions and write more comments. I enjoy reading, and obviously I try and reply to everything that I can on there. You don't ask me how to fix something because I can't answer that. I'm just one of those people, I just fake it till I make it, and we'll get there eventually. Otherwise I just resort to YouTube and go and have a look. Somebody else has already done it out there, get some ideas. So, but this cab's going to be quite a challenge. I am actually looking forward to that. It's going to be a little bit different type of work, but yeah, we'll work away at that slowly. Might have shown this, I'm not sure. Got the radiator out, a bit more work to do on that. It's very clean inside. Had a look with the mirror up through the bottom tank. I thought about taking it to town and getting the radiator man to check it and flush it, but yeah, I'll just see how I go with that. Bought some hoses, got that. Might have mentioned, I've been to the belt shop. Yeah, I've ordered a full set of belts for the engine. So, you know, you'll see in the picture here, it's my other hobby. Nothing to do with this channel, but you've got a live steam locomotive, 7¼ inch gauge. It's in the workshop, getting a bit of work done on it at the moment. My two boys run that. So yeah, model engineering, I do a little bit of that. I don't fully manufacture from the beginning. I don't have the time and I don't have the skill set. But this locomotive, I had it completely to pieces and rebuilt it. It taught me a lot. With the help of our local club, obviously a lot of knowledgeable people in there, and I'm not afraid to ask questions. It's the only way you learn. But yeah, I have too many hobbies, not enough time to do it all. Got the air-to-air intercooler sitting there. Give that a good clean up. I want to paint all that stuff before I put it back in. And obviously the cab, which you've seen a lot of, you can see a lot more as I progress. It's quite cool looking at the Facebook page for the 362s. Guys are doing all these window masks and what they're doing, and obviously we don't know what this one is until I remove the windows. I'm going to go and see the local glass shop that I deal with, and I'm thinking I'll get them, if they're interested, to come and remove the windows for me. I don't have the tools to do it, and I don't want to try and do it because I know what's going to happen. It may happen to them as well, but I realise the flat glass isn't a problem, but yeah, these corner windows, it would be a bit of an issue for me. So, but yeah, we're getting there, progressing. Considering I was allowing myself 2 years to do this truck, it may actually take that yet, because I realise a bit like baking a cake. Yeah, ingredients and baking, it's the easy bit. It's icing, it's going to be the hard bit. So yeah, getting it painted and put back together, it's going to be painful. Just keep working away at it. As I said, I appreciate everyone following me, and yeah, I'll keep making these blogs, and I hope that somebody might learn something off it. Could be just one simple thing that helps them out. We'll see how we go. Right, welcome back to PDNZ. Same stuff, different day. I'll just give you a bit of rundown on what's been happening. Yeah, I got the gearbox mounts, well sorry, the top support for the gearbox back in. I compensated for the angle of the spring. I put the angle brackets in line with the flat of the spring here, so it's not wearing on one side like it was. So I think I've overcome that problem. Next thing I've done is made up some fuel lines. I had a roll of this low pressure lines, 400 psi, so I don't think we have an issue there for suction and return on a fuel line. So yeah, I made the line up, nothing flash, but got that up into there. And then the main suction, that was a bit of a funny one, that was. The light's not the best here. I can't hold the light in the camera. I'll try and do something. They had it coming straight out of the block here on a straight fitting, and they bent the hose right around, and it was hard up against the chassis here. So I found a line with a 90 on it, and yeah, instead of running it down under the starter like they did, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I will wrap it yet, obviously, got stuff to do. So yeah, I brought it around, and here it is here with the T-fitting, which divides off and goes to the tanks, goes in this bracket here. So yeah, when I'm ready, I'll mount all that up, obviously, but got a lot of blasting and painting to do yet. So the next thing I was doing was, the air tank always stuck out on this side of the truck. This one here was sticking way out here, which would be wrong for an inspection. So I loosened the brackets, and you can see how much I shifted it along and got it in. I thought, well, that looks good. And then I was looking at it more and more, and there was a bent step on here. I don't even know what I've done with the step now. I told you they called me Dory. I've straightened it all. I had it here, I've lost it. No idea. Anyway, and the more I looked at the tanks, I was like, they're a bit corroded. And they're not rusty or rotten or anything like that, but I looked up under here and I thought, well, I'm never going to be able to blast in there and up under the battery box and that, and get that the way I want it. So I'm going to drop the tanks. I've unhooked the lines on there. This side I tag. I really didn't have to. Different size lines, different type of fittings, but old Dory will be back. It'll get me. I just tagged it. So anyway, I'll proceed and drop the tanks and give you an update soon. As you can see, tanks are off. Probably went to more trouble than it was worth, really. They're not that bad, but it'll be good. I'll get them blasted and primed. I may not do the top coat, obviously, as I'll scratch the bugger out of them, put them on, but I'll prime it all. My thoughts are reassemble, then yeah, I'll just spray it once it's up on there. I'll think about that. Only casualty is screwed off one of these, but that's right. Cut that off and I'll weld another bolt on there with the thread. The other thing I have done is, and didn't film, this air tank here was removed. When I took the fuel tank off, it was pretty obvious what had happened. They'd driven over something and these brackets had been, that one wasn't too bad, but this one here was bent right back and the strap was broken, and you can still see there's a very slight bend in it, maybe on the camera. So I put it all in the press and mucked around with it, did what I could with it, and the straps, yeah, they were completely corroded and they were shot. So if, I cut those off and welded some more threaded rod pieces on there, so that fixed all that. It's all secure now, happy with that. Cleaned up the brackets at the back here, gave them a bit of prime, and same on the chassis. I've cleaned that, and I flap wheel, cleaned it up, primed it. Brackets are primed on the back, so won't be any corrosion there. This truck's never going to sit outside, that's where it's going to be housed. So yeah, moving along, that's what we're doing. Yeah, I'll fix that bracket. I'll have a bit of a look at this battery box. It's alright. I'll end up putting a big mat or something in the bottom to sit the batteries on. Got to make some brackets to hold the batteries in. That'll be one of the last things we do. And as I was talking about before, I couldn't find the step. Yeah, just turn around and look behind me, and that's where it was. But yeah, that step was bent, so put that in the press and had a go at it. That mounts on under here and the battery box. We'll get some bolts and remount that. Do that next, I think. So, but yeah, we're moving along. My trouble is I start on something and I look at something else and think, oh, I'll have a go at that, and yeah, it's just a bit of a disaster. Never really finished what I started. In saying that, the cab is sitting over there. I haven't touched it. I've just taken it off, and that's where it sits until I get a lot of work completed on this frame. It's the 13th of June as I film this, so weather-wise, like we had a frost this morning. It's pretty cold in the mornings here. It's overcast now. It's still quite cold. Not the best for blasting and painting. But I still, if I get a nice day and time allows, I still want to give this another wash. Underneath, when I pulled the fuel lines, I spilled a lot of fuel, and obviously removing the tanks, there's stuff under there I missed when I washed. Give it another wash, and then work on my blaster, and I wouldn't mind getting the engine done. So I can just work away at that, get that painted, and then I can wrap the engine and work on the frame rails. I've ordered some bushes for the pivots, cab pivots. I see they emailed me back some funny hour this morning because I've ordered them out of the US. They're out of stock at the moment, so they're just waiting on availability. They're a Kenworth, I might have said before, Kenworth K100 cab mount pivot bush, so I'll fit this as well. It's a bit hard for us to source parts on the other side of the world. You can find the stuff, but it's a question of somebody shipping it. People don't like shipping internationally. It's obviously hard for them to work out taxes and what to do. Possibly as a company, they don't need to, they've got enough business locally. We've got options. I think we can post to like a postal service like in the US, and then they'll ship it for us in desperation. I've never looked into it, but I know you can do it. So yeah, as you can see, we're just moving along. Actually went to our local engineering business this morning, had a conversation with them. They do certifications for the fifth wheel, so yeah, had quite a good conversation about all that. I'll possibly use them. I'll just see what happens with the other engineer that was going to come and see me as well. They all know one another, so there's no conflict of interest there. They've all got to meet the same standards and requirements. It's just a question of who wants to work with me. The local people, he's really good. He said to me, you know, they'll supply the materials, I can do all the drilling and bolting, and as long as I document it, and they'll come and look at it as I slowly get through it. But yeah, I need to get the turntable inside and probably get a bit done on that. It's just as weather allows what I do. I don't do much on it during the day. Sort of a bit late in the mornings I get here, and I've got to go pretty early in the afternoon, got family commitments. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying following this. I know it's not exactly riveting stuff, but for you truck people, and obviously there's a lot of people out there doing this but don't document it, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, you always think, you know, someone will laugh at what you're doing or yeah, find fault, but I think you've just got to be open to keyboard warriors and whatever comments come up on your videos. You just got to have an open mind. I'll say this now, that yeah, anything which has been said on my channel, it's really positive. It's obviously people are appreciating it and enjoying it.